Let's get weird.
Hello and welcome to Weirdos. My name is Kellen.
I'm Jay.
And I am back, and I am producer Rodney, because
Back,
I'm
baby.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to get together when it's the second episode in the same day.
Yeah, all I had to do was just to, create some new lines, and here we go.
I'm the only one to change shirts, so you could tell. Hey.
I changed hat positions because it's a switch.
I changed cans of drink.
What are you drinking?
Ooh.
I am drinking Mountain Dew Zero Sugar Spark, with a blast of raspberry lemonade.
Our first official sponsor, except that they're not.
Do the do.
We still need to make those
I'm
shirts.
not your mom.
If you do the do, did you did the did?
Whoa. Don't do the do. We still need to get those shirts made. Say not a sponsor.
Jay does the do every day when he gets home.
Every day and every morning in the shower.
Oh.
I was talking about your dog pooping everywhere. I wasn't talking about a number 3, Jay.
I do that in the mornings too. I do that. Clean up dog poop in the middle of the night, in the morning, the afternoon, before bed. Just
Dog poop
my
in the
life.
morning, dog poop in the evening, dog poop at supper time.
That's why I like to, when we come and record these, the dog's still asleep. Lindsay's turn. So welcome back. I feel like we've gotten to the point where we cut ourselves off at the end a little bit before we get into the social medias. Also, you probably don't make it that far sometimes when we talk about trucks, but we have some social medias. We have Instagram, which I think is pretty fun.
Yep.
We're pretty interactive on that. We have Facebook, which I don't think is fun anymore.
Nope.
No one really interacts with us on there.
Not a sponsor.
Facebook is a vapid wasteland.
Meta. We got TikTok. We're okay.
Your last TikTok video that was just your face licking your teeth did really well for us.
Well, why wouldn't it?
I know,
and it
right?
also wasn't my mouth, so that was just a filter, guys. And early my mouth. My mouth's not that big. My tongue's not that delicious.
Delicious.
But TikTok, we're gonna get better on that.
More.
Weirdos, a YouTube channel.
Yep.
Which is basically just what you're hearing now, but with visuals.
Oh.
We still need to find a new challenge. The chip challenge has been our most popular video of all time.
I hated it.
It was
I hated it, and I still hate Kellen to a degree for it, and myself for suggesting it.
Did I mention that my farts burnt?
Your farts burped?
Burnt.
Burnt. Oh, burnt. Okay. That actually makes more sense. I'm like, how does a fart burp? I want to hear that, honestly.
Because it's past tense, but they burned while I was farting.
Could you smell your blue jeans burning?
Dude, it was
Who's cooking the denim?
awful.
Yeah.
I cried like a baby on the toilet the next day.
I like the pain.
You're a sadist.
Yeah, he is. That's part of the lack of empathy.
I rubbed some chip dust on my taint just to feel a little extra.
Slapped it on your tank.
Oh, we're off the rails already.
But yeah, so follow us on our social medias. I don't know. I'm doing the horror YouTube more than I'm doing Weirdos, but I've had some great ideas.
Here you go with the freaking horrors again.
I know. Horrors of Babylon. Horror. Excuse me, horror. Sorry, my
Horror.
southern accent gets in my way. Fun fact, we might actually be starting a horror podcast called Midnight Snack.
Ooh.
It all hangs on balance of I have a show in May with Ari Lehman from he was the original first Jason Voorhees. If he says, yeah, you can interview me, then I think there's also a Friday the 13th in May. So I think that is, was that yours or mine?
That was yours.
Damn it. So I think that will catapult it into actually doing it. So we'll see how that goes. But if we do that, it'll be released on Friday the 13th, obviously.
That's crazy cool.
It won't be like a regular thing. We do it like once a month, once every other month. It's just when we feel like it. Like that's because I just need an outlet. Like I was telling him, like, Lindsay doesn't like horror. She hates it. So like when I watch a movie, I'm like, who can I talk to about it? Like I gotta get it out. Like, Zoe, come here. Listen about this movie. And she can't hear. She's deaf. So it's like pointless. I'm like, I need an outlet for this. And I'm like, that's why I started doing the YouTube videos or the TikTok videos a little bit more with that. And I had this idea. I'm like, I think it would be fun. And I think I know enough people where I could have guests frequently and we could make it work better. So, but we'll see. So this episode, what we're going to talk about?
Well, we've talked about Marvel, we've talked about movies, we've talked about all that stuff. For some reason, we never talked about superheroes, just like general topic about superheroes, which is odd because the nerds that we are, you would think that would have popped into our head in season 1.
It is kind of a weird thing.
It is. It's very weird. And it was funny because the way it was brought up to me is Jay was like, we should do one about superheroes. And I'm like, damn, you're right. Why didn't we think of that? And
I think we're dumb. Like
he was like, how did we not think of that?
Obviously, two of us are nerds. Like, you have nerdy qualities, but you're not a nerd.
Oh, I'm
You're
complete.
you're an
and
audio
music
nerd.
nerd.
You're an
Music
audio
doesn't
nerd. Yeah.
Yeah, like
But-
technical stuff. Love.
So we went and saw Batman 2 weeks ago, I guess it's been. But
Yeah.
have you seen it yet?
yes.
The Batman?
I have
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Robert Pattinson's the best Batman we ever had.
We
I
talked
said
about
it
that. How
before
amazing.
he accomplished it. But that kind of got me thinking, like, I would love to go back and read some of like the year 1 comics of Batman. And that's when I thought, I'm like, how have we not done an episode about that? Like,
Why is
we're idiots.
Jameson Durham
Yeah.
not on this podcast when we're talking about
Because
this?
it's not about real estate.
No, I would have him
Is
sign
there
a
a
contract.
real estate man?
What? He sells real estate? Since I have the hat on that says
He's
That's
he
a
sells real estate
sponsor.
and goes to Disneyland. So we don't
Living
have
the
any,
dream.
We don't have any property to
he's
offer
my
him, so he's not
superhero
here.
when it comes to that. I'd love to do that all the time.
God, Disney's amazing.
I love it. Okay.
I haven't
so
been there since I was
superheroes.
5. So yeah, superheroes. So just a general quick episode, I think, where we just talk about our favorite superheroes and why, and bore you to death with hearing this. My personal favorite of all time is Spider-Man. I grew up with the cartoon. The toys were the best. Obviously Ninja Turtles were there too, but thinking more comic book related.
Yeah.
Spider-Man always had the best villains to me. That was always what really turned me on to him. Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Carnage, Venom. They were just so cool. Like, I had all the figures, watched all the episodes of the TV show. I wanted to be Spider-Man, but I was too fat to be Spider-Man. So you buy a costume, but it's like very form-fitting. I'm like, nah.
I have
Spider-Pig is what I was.
I have a great Spider-Man costume story.
Oh, do tell. Now's the time.
So this is going to be super embarrassing. So buckle in, kids. So
Package showing.
we're getting there. So when I worked at CC's Pizza in my early 20s, luckily I had the body for a Spider-Man costume. I wasn't jacked, but I was thin.
Yoked.
So
Just
Well, you hadn't gotten bitten by the spider yet, so you're
no, I didn't have the overnight Tobey Maguire when checking my pecs in the mirror. But we would do Friends and Family every Monday from 6 to 8, and they always had somebody dress up in the costume. That somebody being me. So it was typically like one of those like furry style costumes with the big head and the body and everything that you put on. So I was Clifford the Big Red Dog one week. I was Shrek the next. The Batman costume was amazing. I felt like Batman in that because it had so many pieces, like the chest plate and everything you had to put on and strap
did the
together.
voice?
I did when I was because there was
Welcome
only
to CC's.
there was only 2 costumes I was allowed to talk in, and Batman was one of them because you could
What
see
was
my
the other?
mouth. I don't remember
was
the
the
other.
other?
I don't remember the other
I mean,
costume. I was
obviously
allowed
not
to talk
Clifford.
in. No, I wasn't allowed.
Shrek.
I don't remember what the other one was. I just remember that there was only 2 I was ever allowed to speak in, but I was walking around like, I'm Batman. And it had like these sticks.
Smacking
It had
kids.
these sticks that were in the cape that you could hold on to so I could pull the cape out.
Nice.
I also cussed out a girl I worked with in the parking lot dressed like Batman. Which
With
is
the wings out, with the cape out.
very un-Batman-like.
you can eat a bag of.
Don't you know who I am? I'm Vengeance. Get back to work.
So anyway, so the Spider-Man, so all of the costumes were rented from this one company, and for the most part, they all looked really good considering, except the Spider-Man. So the Spider-Man was a one-piece costume except for the head, the mask. The mask did not fit to my face, nor anybody's face, because it was a solid panel that came down, and you had to tuck in the top. But it wouldn't stay in. It kept popping out. So I looked like somebody that was trying to rob a bank that got off the special bus that day.
Pantyhose pulled over your face.
Kind of, yeah. Pantyhose, but if it was padded in the front.
Oh, God.
So I did the best I could with it. So I'm wearing this skin-tight bodysuit with no cup or anything. No, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just like, okay,
It's
I've
like
got
you're
this
carrying
on.
grapes in the wrong place.
There was a run in the leg like pantyhose. It was just generally awful.
It's cold.
So
It's battle ravaged Spider-Man. It's fine.
So I'm trying to make the best of it. And the way the windows at CC's was, there was a ledge, like about a 2-inch ledge on the window panes and then another one lower. And so I figured out that I could, if I jumped at the glass and grabbed it, it looked like I stuck to the window. So I was doing that for the kids, right? So I'm just like, I'd jump up and kids were like, oh, that's so cool. And so I did that like 3 or 4 times, just boom, up against the glass, holding on and walking around, shaking kids' hands, getting pictures taken with them. Well, I'm walking around, hands on my hip, thinking all the kids love this. It's really
Sassy
cool.
Spider.
Sassy Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. So I'm up at this one table talking to the kid, and the woman looks over, and then the look of horror comes across her face. And
He had an erection. That's how I want this story to go, but I know
Please
it's
let
not.
it be.
no, I didn't have, no, that didn't happen.
And that's why you have to introduce yourself to your neighbors.
But you could, your friendly neighborhood
Took you a
pedophile.
second.
Hey, kids.
We're very friendly.
With she tried to say it low enough that I couldn't hear, but I absolutely heard what she said. She said to her friend across the table, she was like, "You can see his entire penis." And so in the restaurant, I looked down and just the outline of little Kellen is just head balls. You could see, shy of the veins, you could make out what I was working with. And like as soon as she said it, I just stopped and looked down, realized it was like, and ran straight to the bathroom and like tried to adjust myself. I could not get it to just. The manager was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I can't go out like this."
We found Captain Winky.
Just imagine how it looked against the window.
That's why
That's all I could-
That's why I told that part of the story. I'm sure that they were cleaning them later, and there was just like peen smudges all over the glass.
Jackass Forever in the little paddleboard.
Oh, God.
That was
Ding, ding, ding,
that was
ding,
one of the
ding.
most embarrassing things
That's
ever.
such a good story.
I'm glad I had the hockey mask on.
But when she whispered that, was it kind of like, you can see his dick and I like it? Or was it like, you can see his little wiener? I don't know.
No, it was more like, "Oh my God, Karen, his penis is in my pizza."
Who ordered extra sausage?
Now I know why they call it Little CC's. Oh, that's Caesar's. Damn it. So close. Damn it.
I'm pretty sure there's porns that start that way.
It was, that was.
Boom.
Are there photos? Is there photos? Are there any photos out there of this?
This was
Karen
2002,
took
maybe.
one.
So I doubt that anybody was.
They would
really
be too
taking
grainy to make
pictures.
out what your penis looks like. Not that I don't already know that anymore. But that's a great story.
It is a weird podcast.
True, yeah, true. That's a true story. That really happened to me in my life.
That may be one of my favorite stories that you've ever told.
Yeah.
I didn't
did
know
you
where
say
it was
that
going
till
at first. I'm like, okay,
Episode
Spider-Man,
17, season 2, to like
penis.
let that out. Like literally let that out.
Yep.
Literally.
Literally.
That's I think when most people wear costumes like that, they wear a jockstrap or shorts. So lesson learned.
Yeah.
So when we have our 100th episode, we'll have you dress up as Spider-Man. We'll recreate that. You think you can hang off Roddy's window right there?
It would be great.
Neighbors, look.
Just. And see, I had a Spider-Man. Spider-Man was one of my favorites growing up too. I had a Spider-Man window one where it was like he suction cups on his hand and it would stick to the window in your car. And that's what made me think of that. I was like, I bet I could stick to the window. Look like I stuck to the window.
If this plush can do it, I can do it.
It felt cool until it wasn't.
I still think it was pretty cool. Could have picked up some moms that day.
Hey,
Maybe
just
that's
your
part of the story he's not going to share.
friendly neighborhood peen gobbler.
Oh,
So
that's fantastic.
favorite superhero is Batman,
Mine was Batman, yeah.
but you had to tell the ruining of your favorite.
I'd
superhero.
already forgotten that he said Batman. I was distracted by the fleshy story that he told.
I've got a weird favorite superhero, and no,
Captain Canada.
yes,
Captain Canuck is his name.
Captain
Come on.
Canuck, sorry.
Ghost Rider.
That's
Samson because you look like him.
no, that's a biblical character.
No, he's a Hulk character. Thank you. He has green hair.
They just stole it from the Bible. It was just way too easy.
Well, it's all fiction. So
Exactly. Ooh, look at you.
Wow.
And
Sorry.
the episode takes a
Canceled.
negative turn. So, Ryan Reynolds did not destroy this character for me.
Green Lantern.
Love him. And I think about what you can do as Green Lantern. I mean, come on.
yeah. No, you're right. I didn't think that was a terrible movie.
I didn't
Green Lantern
either.
either. But have you seen Free Guy?
Yes.
Okay, so
it's fantastic.
Him
by
and
the way.
Takai, I never say his name right, but Takai Wahidi, whatever his name is, Wahidi. So when they started doing the press for Free Guy, Jesse from Stranger Things that's in Free Guy, he's like, "Didn't you guys do a movie together?" And they're like, "No, we've never been in a movie together." He's like, "I'm pretty sure you guys were in a movie together." Like, we've never been in a movie together. They were in Green Lantern
Yes,
together, which is just hilarious. My local Dollar Tree has the comic book adaptation of the Green Lantern movie right now.
Wow.
I saw it yesterday for $1.
Speaking of Spider-Man and comic books, I do have the first appearance of the Black Suit comic
Oh, nice.
in Secret Wars. Yeah.
The reason why I said James should be on here because he's got like 4,300 first editions.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't be able to speak.
I know. Because he would have all the cool stories about comic books and we would not, except for Kellen's window pane.
Spider peen. So you like Green Lantern just because he has the ring and he can do whatever he wants with it. So that's kind of why I don't like him. Like I'm
Well,
like,
no, it's an imagination thing to me. Like if superheroes are about imagination, and you create a character that only his imagination keeps him for whatever. Like if he just it's so like when he did the whole jets in the movie. I know it's loosely based on the comic, but it had the jets and pulling him away from the sun as fear went into the sun, got eaten by the sun or whatever. It was like it was unrealistic, but it was as imagination because jets need propulsion and to push things away, it wouldn't have anything to ignite. So like a proton engine or something, just crazy. I like that character or that superhero. Superman, I mean, I don't even know why there's a Justice League. Yeah. Like, you hold him up till Superman gets there. I mean, seriously, this is what Captain Marvel is. Marvel's Superman, but Superwoman.
yeah,
Because her limitations are limitless. So is Superman's.
yeah, they don't need anybody. Like,
They don't
thanks,
need
Batman.
anybody.
I'm good. Like I got this. My favorite from the Green Lantern movie, I'm pretty sure he made a giant fist with his ring and hit somebody.
And
That was when he was fighting his corporal or whatever.
Yeah.
Superman originally couldn't fly. That's where able to leap over tall buildings in a single bound came from.
Yeah.
He could jump really high.
He was
couldn't
the OG
fly.
superhero. I've never liked Superman, like the character. Like I like the movies and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Man of Steel took it to the right level for me.
Yeah.
Well, you bought a movie this week that I thought, since we're talking about superheroes, I think it's an interesting concept.
I didn't buy a movie this week.
You bought one at the
Lindsay
Dollar
doesn't
Tree
listen.
for $1. Brightburn. Oh, yeah. And we're talking about superheroes, and I've always enjoyed that concept, kind of like Invincible
Yeah.
on Amazon.
the cartoon.
Yeah,
animated.
because you have Superman and he's the shining light of hope. He's like the ideal of what you would want somebody with that power to be. Responsible with it. They always go off in the comics and like kind of like what if scenarios or worst day scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, he's like the moral compass of the superhero community. You have Batman who has a moral compass as well, but he's a little darker. Spider-Man, they're gooder than good. So I don't know if you've seen Brightburn or
Brightburn.
Invincible.
The
You know what Brightburn is?
Little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen
basically like what if Superman was evil?
that one. Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed that take on the superhero mythos. Superman is basically a god
Yeah.
and could wipe out the entirety of our world without breaking a sweat.
And with three
if
of his
he
kind
wanted
gods
to.
came to try to do that.
Yeah.
And so then you have these movies, and I'm surprised Brightburn didn't do better because I thought it was a phenomenal movie
It's
for
a
a
great
horror
movie.
movie.
It was definitely under the radar, I think. Like the James Gunn's brothers wrote it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so like he had a hand in it.
But
Yeah,
just that
it's
idea.
so good.
Yeah, and it ended with like the news reports of him just going from country to country and just laying waste to whatever he wanted.
It was a nature versus nurture scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, the mom tried to instill morals into somebody that realized that they had enough power to do whatever they wanted, and instead of being kept in check like Superman was, his morals were instilled by his Earth parents.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that's why he tried to be a beacon of hope. In this one, he was like, I can do whatever I want. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. And, there was the one comic Red Sun where the scenario was Superman landed in Russia instead of here. So he was like a commie. That was pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure they made a movie out of it. Animated movie. But yeah, he was definitely a god. We couldn't stop him except with a rock from his home planet. But he could have done whatever he wanted. Which goes back to why would he need the Justice League?
Right.
Superman fucks fish. Or Aquaman Aquaman fucks fish. We learned that from Peacemaker.
Wait, what?
Do you have HBO Max?
Yes.
Watch Peacemaker. Have you watched the new Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Peacemaker. Have you watched that?
Yes.
Have you finished it?
Yes.
So the end of that was fantastic. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because it was spoiled for me because I didn't realize it happened. But, he makes fun of Aquaman. He makes fun of all of them. I'll say this now, and it's probably because it's new and fresh to me, but I think Peacemaker is just as good as any Marvel show that they put out this year. John Cena killed it.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Absolutely killed it, and I want him to play Home Sweet Home on piano at my funeral. I didn't know Giant Fingers could do that, but Peacemaker was fantastic, and he always had something bad to say about all the Justice League members, and then after he essentially saves the world and everything, they come, and he's like, you're fucking late. Like, he's walking off, and they say Aquaman fucks fish, and then he's like, I hate that rumor. It's actually Jason Momoa's like, I hate that rumor. Flash is like, but it's true, right? Like, so funny.
Did you see the interview, the press conference? It was like a movie premiere, and Jason Momoa was walking by, and one of the guys doing the interview asked, like, hey, can I ask you something real quick? And he's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, go ahead. And he was like, what kind of fish? And Jason Momoa just busts out laughing and walks off, and he comes back and he's like, that was a good one. That's funny.
He was perfect for Aquaman.
Absolutely, 100%. That's the reason why I like the Zack Snyder's version. Have you guys seen Zack Snyder's?
Yeah, I wish I had seen only that.
Yeah, and not the
It
first
would make
one.
so much difference. But you know what makes me mad? Did y'all watch the Oscars at
No.
all? So the only part I caught, they did a countdown of like best moments in movies that made people cheer. Number 4 or 3 out of the top 5 was where Captain America gets the freaking hammer and says Avengers assemble. That was number 4. I just got chills thinking about it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That has got to be number 1.
Yeah, number 1 is the dumbest number 1. They weren't all
was it?
superhero movies, but 3 of them were. Number 1 was where the Flash and Justice League uses the Speed Force.
What?
That's why we as a society should not be able to vote for things. Because these people voted for that to be over Captain America. When all the heroes come back in Endgame and he gets that hammer, where I've seen videos of people recording it in the theater and you hear the people cheering, I'm like, thinking about it just gives me chills. Like, that's the epitome.
Well, and that was the culmination of 10 years of work. That that one moment.
Yeah, but Flash going, look at me, I'm running through the speed. Like, that is not, no one cheered during that. First of all, did it even come to theaters? It's like HBO Max. No one, I wasn't like, I was like, yeah, the Speed Force.
You didn't hear your neighbors outside your door watching it at the same time going, Speed Force!
Yeah, like, it's just absurd. Like, I don't like The Flash. I used to love The Flash. Like, I love the show. But Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, but he can't beat anybody by himself, and everybody's always a little bit faster. Like, come on.
Did you ever watch Teen Titans Go?
No.
Okay, there's an episode, and I literally laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. So if you've never watched Teen Titans Go, it's hysterical. Lots of 80s and 90s references that they throw in there, but Robin is trying to prove his superiority against Kid Flash. And so he challenges him to a race, and obviously Kid Flash smokes him.
Right.
So end of the episode, he's like, I want another race. They line up. They go, ready, set. Robin takes his bow staff and whacks him in the leg and takes off running. And it shows Kid Flash, why? and he wins the race, and everybody's cheering him, and it's just Kid Flash in the
The
background.
most morbid, empatheticless moment ever.
I thought that I died. I was like, that's the best thing ever.
That's another thing I never understood either. Like, I think Marvel is superior to DC in almost every way.
1000%.
I think Batman and Superman are probably the two most marketable characters. I think Batman is probably the most known character, both of them. But Aqualad, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, Superboy. Let's be a little bit more creative than that, you know.
I mean,
like,
think about all the characters that Marvel has.
Green Baby instead of Green Lantern. You know, it's just
Green Lighter.
Marvel. They don't really have sidekicks, do they? Can you name any off the top of your head? Like, there's teams, but like, hey, I'm Flash and this is Kid Flash. Look out.
They do have that. That is, I guess that's the route that Marvel took. DC does have like a lot of sidekicks or people within the same ability. Like Superman has like a bunch of other people that are in that, you know, Supergirl and all. But Marvel kind of went with teams. Like there's, you know, the Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men. There's even like West Coast Avengers, East Coast Avengers,
Alpha Flight.
Yeah, I mean there's
Excalibur.
Like, and they just interchange who's with who depending on the storyline. Like
and then add the
Ant-Man's with this
multiverse to the
group.
middle of all that. I mean, come on.
Multiverse is a lot for me.
I think DC's writing is better.
What?
I think
Explain.
if you take their novels, graphic novels, like away from their comics, and if you take
away from the movies,
take I'm talking about like the storylines that they write. They're grittier, they're more real, they're darker. Like
especially
part of the reason I love Batman, like A Death in the Family, it's fantastic. The Killing Joke, incredible writing.
The movie, I was very disappointed in that movie.
They messed it up with the whole Barbara and Batman having a relationship or trying to have a relationship. That didn't need to be in there. I think they would have been better off just making the movie whatever length it took to tell that story. But even if you take DC, take the actual live action movies away and you just go to their cartoon movies, those are fantastic.
Yeah, they definitely have the advantage over Marvel in that department. Yeah. Marvel doesn't really make that many. They did the What If, but I never watched.
Yeah, Marvel has always been more for a younger audience in the comics. I think they tried to get darker because in the 90s, DC was kind of destroying them in sales with everything because there's the death of Superman,
Breaking Batman's back.
Yeah, the Bane saga. So people were eating up those stories, those darker stories. So Marvel, after that, because they had a lot of financial trouble, which is why Stan Lee sold so many of the properties to movie studios, which is why you have Sony having some, Fox having some. Yeah. So when Disney's trying to buy all of that back, they're trying to get that whole catalog back of characters.
Please do.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the
Disney
MCU
has knocked that stuff out of the park, dude.
Yeah, no, they know how to write. Kevin Feige knows how to tell the story that people want to absorb.
Dude,
it may not be the most detailed or compelling story, but it's a very palatable story that the general audience can get behind and enjoy. But
1,000%.
like I said, DC in the 90s was killing Marvel because it was that dark and gritty stuff. Which is the irony that now DC puts out a dark and gritty movie and nobody wants to see it.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, I've been seeing a lot of posts saying Morbius is going to be the worst Marvel movie ever. And my response is, 1, have you seen Green Lantern? Sorry. 2, have you seen Elektra?
That's pretty bad.
I'm very worried about Morbius. And I like that character because when growing up, I watched the Spider-Man cartoons and there was a big saga with Morbius and Spider-Man losing his powers and all that. I love the character. I love Jared Leto. I saw the dude spit in somebody's face at a show one time. It was awesome.
He looked at me and told me long hair don't care.
Yeah.
After a show, and he signed my shit.
I wonder what he said to your wife. What she said to him, I guess, would be the case.
Well,
Christian, come here. You're embarrassing me in front of Morbius.
He did say to the whole entire crowd, this I do remember, he said, I make gorgeous babies and I have a big dick.
He's not wrong. He didn't have kids, though, so I don't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah, he might.
He might.
Maybe he just like puts his stuff under a microscope and he's like, yeah, it's quality.
Yep. He's a scientist, just like in Morbius. But I'm very concerned about it. And that's Sony, when Sony does movies. Venom sucked.
The first one was okay.
But still
The
sucked.
second one was bad.
The second one sucked worse.
I haven't seen that one.
either one of them?
No, that's one with Carnage, right?
The second one
is
was Carnage.
Yeah.
Where they finally changed Woody Harrelson's hair.
Yeah.
Thank you. But like, it still wasn't good. I
haven't
don't like
seen
the
that one.
dynamic
Shit.
where he's talking to Venom, Venom's talking to him, but no one else can hear it. Somebody's all in his head. Just a lot of it didn't make sense. I was very excited about it because we, as a people, have kind of drifted towards the anti-hero, which is Venom, Deadpool.
Yeah.
I was super excited for that movie. Like, and when we were kids, we're like, they're gonna make a Venom movie one day. Like, I'm not gonna live long enough to see that. And then it's here. You're like, yeah. And that's part of the disappointment when we watch them too. But fantastic. I like when the Fantastic Four movies came in. I'm like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. But when you go back, you're like, okay, I see the flaws. The newest one is god awful.
So I never watched it because I heard it was so bad.
I own the Steelbook if you don't ever want to borrow it, but it is terrible. And Doctor Doom is one of my favorite characters. Like, he's so cool, and they just shit on him. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do.
He was nothing in that
You're
movie.
welcome.
Yeah.
Like he played such a bigger part in the first two.
Yeah,
And I love those movies. They were the first cartoony ones that didn't seem cartoony, but just kept being cartoony. And this one, they try to make a little more realistic. And I mean, Dr. Doom was like, not even, it was a moot point.
yeah.
And he's supposed to be like, I mean, he's they're polar opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to, that's the bad guy. This is the good guys.
People also forget, Blade is kind of the one who kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I love Blade. I've rewatched the first two recently, and they're still good. Like, the effects obviously aren't that great.
You're
Well, if you
talking
think about that, that means
Wesley
Ryan
Snipes?
Reynolds has been in 3 separate superhero franchises.
Who?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah.
He was in Blade 3. He was in Green Lantern, and he is Deadpool.
Yeah.
Chris Evans has been in a ton of superhero movies, a ton of comic book movies. So, like, Push was a comic book movie.
Wolverine. Forget about that one.
Which one?
Did you say X-Men?
He was.
That's 4.
He was Deadpool.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's right. He was in the
X.
Wolverine.
And they sewed
Yeah.
his mouth shut.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Dumb.
What?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World for Chris Evans. He was Human Torch. The Losers, which was a comic book, and then of course he's Captain America. And I'm pretty sure he's voiced somebody too. So he's done a lot of comic book. Like, he has a type. But you remember when they cast Chris Evans? I was like, it's Captain America. I'm like, oh, that's bad.
He
Yeah,
could
it's
not have
Bad.
been.
And now no one can
better.
ever replace him.
No.
Same thing with Robert Downey Jr. Same
Oh,
thing with
God.
Hugh Jackman.
That's
If anybody-
another thing Marvel has done incredibly well is casting. They've just routinely knocked it out of the park.
And like they botched Hulk until they got. I can't even.
Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first Hulk was bad.
Yeah.
The second
Hulk,
one was okay.
okay.
Which is sad, the first one, because his name was Eric Bana.
Yeah, no, that just makes sense, right? That's why they
So
hired
close to Bruce Banner. It should have fit.
him. Edward Norton quit because he didn't like the way they advertised the movie. So
They
like,
did a
didn't-
bad job of it.
I liked Abomination, and he was in Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah,
He was fighting.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And Shang-Chi was fantastic. That's
Yeah,
another one.
Shang-Chi
really
was great.
good.
That's probably one of my favorite ones, honestly. Like,
So today's the 27th, right? So no, 20.
we're going
Moon
in the
Knight.
past.
Today's April something.
Moon Knight
Whatever day this podcast.
is coming out on
Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited
can't
about
That has to be good because what's his name? The guy that's Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Not only that, but the directors are Moorhead and Benson, who do a lot of horror movies that I absolutely adore.
Ooh.
And they have not put out anything that I don't like. And they do a lot of psychedelic stuff. Like one of the movies, the name is escaping me. It starts with an E, but I own it. I think it's on Netflix. So just like look up Moorhead and Benson. But it's about these guys who left a cult. And then they get a videotape of one of the girls that they grew up with, asking them to come back. And they come back. But the whole thing, I mean, it's like, it turns out to be like real. Like it's alien thing. Like it's fantastic. They did a Synchronicity, I think is the name of one of them,
yeah.
with Falcon.
Yep.
They did that. When Moon Knight is a character I don't know a lot about. I know who he is. He's kind of like
Yeah.
Marvel's Batman.
Yeah.
I like the character. I think he's cool looking. And I was like, the show, that'd be cool. Because they mentioned him in Winter Soldier. So Daniel Pudi from Community is in it. And they're like, we got this guy in Egypt who keeps giving us trouble. That's him. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. But when they said Moorhead Benson's going to start directing, I'm like, yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
The Endless.
Endless. Such a good movie.
I gotta watch that now.
Yeah. I don't know. Marvel just, like Scorsese's like, Marvel movies are crap. They're just regurgitated, blah, blah, blah. But like, are they? Like, it's still great. It doesn't matter. Like, movies are here to entertain before anything else.
Well, and that was the thing that got me about the whole Martin Scorsese thing is you have heroes in your movies.
Taxi Driver. Just watch Taxi Driver.
I mean,
Talking to me?
you're talking about
must be talking.
Mark Wahlberg, kind of like the anti-hero of The Departed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes in at the end and cleans up that movie. Just because your stories are based in reality, a reality that
It's still fiction.
Exactly. So you can't say that these superhero movies aren't cinema just because it requires the use of special effects to tell that particular story. Yep. Especially when you did an entire movie, 3.5 hour long movie that required special effects for the majority of the movie to de-age Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci to make them look younger. You spent 2 hours of your movie with fake faces on real actors. So you can't say that, Iron Man flying around in a suit, that's literally the same thing. You use special effects to change the way they look. Marvel's using special effects to give the illusion that he is flying around in a suit.
Yeah.
So Marvel movies are 100% movies. They're great movies. They tell a compelling story. If they didn't, people wouldn't go see them. Because the third Fantastic Four movie wasn't a great story, did not do well in the box office. So it's not the characters that people are going to see after at least the initial.
Yeah.
People continued going to see Marvel movies because they wanted to see the story and how it played out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I mean, especially when they did the franchise all the way up to the end game, and then they've had all these like off branches of it. I mean, I've enjoyed I could watch Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh, Endgame's probably my number one.
And over and over and over.
You're taking people and giving them special abilities. That's the only thing that separates them from an average human.
Science fiction.
But I mean,
and Christy doesn't like science fiction because she's like, it couldn't be reality. And I'm like,
yet.
Could it? I mean, I don't know.
Hey,
I mean,
look at Barry Bonds from 1999 to 2002, or whenever he started taking steroids, and his head size got bigger and his body ballooned.
Yeah.
He was my size going into the steroid era and got huge.
Who was it?
The Hulk. Anybody? The
Yeah.
Hulk. I mean, Bane from Batman taking the Venom. I mean, we're not that far off from a society of super soldiers that, like Captain America, take a serum and become jacked, faster, stronger, smarter.
Yeah, I mean, and the Nazis were trying to do all that stuff back in the day. You know,
and
they've tried to
that's how they
accomplish it.
played off of that too. That's
Because they came to the future and they're like, hey, I like this Iron Man movie. Let's see if we can recreate that. But they could not.
They could not.
I was going to pretend I didn't hear that.
And that's the thing is we, again, it goes back to what we've talked about before. Movies are an escape. And that's what is so compelling about superheroes. It's so compelling about Batman and Spider-Man and Superman and Green Lantern is there's a part of it. I mean, we've played that game for years as kids. Is if you had any superpower, what would it be? It's a nice escape from reality to just imagine what it would be like to fly or to run at the speed of sound or to be able to be able to have the ability, the mental ability to create a armored suit and gadgets that could help you help people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like Star Wars, Star Trek, that's science fiction, but how much of that has actually came to pass?
Yeah. And will, in our life, probably maybe not in our lifetimes because we're old, but yeah, the thing with that too is like that makes it so good is that we had an expectation in our heads when this stuff comes out because we grew up with it, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Iron Man. That's dumb. And then like, oh my God, Robert Downey Jr. will always be Iron Man.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, he's not the right
wait
size.
till Daniel Radcliffe does it.
But he's not the right size to play Wolverine. Nope, he is 100% Wolverine.
Yeah.
1,000%. Like, I mean, there's an infatuation that Christy has because he's the persona of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Gal got it. is she's pretty, but as Wonder Woman,
Good
you
dough.
know,
Good dough.
good at Gal
Good
got
dough.
it,
Gal Gadot.
She can get it.
girl. She got it.
Wonder Woman 84 sucked though. I don't
I
care what
haven't
anybody
seen it
says.
either.
It was
Anytime I
so-
hear that they're
again,
terrible, I
cartoony.
don't watch them.
I know, but the first one wasn't that cartoony. The first one was great.
Right.
This one is when you've seen 84 where she starts
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah.
Like, checked out. Like, I'm done. But what's her face as Cheetah was fine.
Yeah.
I can't think of her name.
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig. Yeah, I mean, she's fine anyways. But
Yeah.
as Cheetah, I'm like, yeah,
That's what
girl.
I'm saying. It's like Gal, if she's beautiful. I mean, I can say, oh,
Stupid beautiful.
It goes. Yeah, she is.
no,
it goes,
but
but it goes to the
character.
casting.
It's the character, man. I mean, it's like, okay, Robert Downey Jr., Junie. You know, him being that character makes him bigger than life. Like he shows up at these places where kids are dying as freaking Iron Man in the Iron Man suit. And if Robert Downey Jr. showed up, they'd be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But he showed up as freaking Iron Man.
Well,
and
at this
made
point,
their
if he did
life-
show up, that it would still be, oh my God, it's Iron Man. Because now we
I'm in the
associate
suit.
his face
Yeah.
with Iron Man.
Yeah. So we'll start to wrap it up. But what's your favorite superhero movie? Like, I know that's a tough question, but if you had to pick one, number one, we're not saying this or that.
Are we
We're gonna
talking
say
like
one?
traditional superhero movies?
Yeah.
Because
Well, you can do both.
my favorite comic book movie is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Well, obviously.
So that's
Oh, I'm sorry. My wife fell asleep halfway through that. My favorite movie of all time, starring Chris Evans. I will never let her live that down. You know who else is in that movie? Superman,
he is. Yeah. The
bass player.
Yep. Doom 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 doom.
If you haven't seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, God, I got to watch it now.
It's
If you not watched it,
I haven't.
It's one of the most beautiful
sad
movies,
movie.
cinematography wise. It's one of the most.
it's
beautiful
Edgar Wright
movies I've
who
ever
did Shaun of the
seen.
Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, Baby Driver. What's the movie he just did?
Baby Driver's pretty good.
Baby
Yeah.
Driver was really good.
I'm gonna have to look it up. He just did a movie that was really
Film
good.
work.
But if I had to pick like just one superhero movie that I could watch
Last Night in
multiple
Soho.
times,
I'm dumb. Last
with,
Night in Soho.
with what's her face,
Anya Taylor.
Yeah.
Oi.
Favorite superhero movie would probably be Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
As far as just
Until the new
That's
one
good
comes out
one.
because it's
As far as-
Asian,
as far as
because
just-
Takai Waititi, like his writing and directing made
Yeah.
that movie perfect.
it's the visuals of it, the timing of the soundtrack. Like you talk about getting chills every time Captain America gets the hammer. Whenever Immigrant Song comes on and Thor just comes flying towards that group of people, I'm so pumped. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, kill all the people.
And then he's got the eye patch and
Yeah.
the freaking
That's
short hair.
that's an 80s buddy cop movie is what that is, and it's fantastic. I need to watch that again because I've only probably seen it twice, and it deserves multiple viewings. What about you, Rockney? Is Green Lantern your favorite?
No. You said character.
Crucify him if he says Green Lantern.
No, like if you was
It's perfection.
if you were to put together that one movie, it's a toss up between Endgame and Infinity War. Because
Infinity War?
Infinity War probably to me, like with them all being stationed right there with freaking Black Panther, that was especially that being his last.
Yeah.
You know,
They just wrapped up filming on Black Panther 2.
really?
Yeah, and it's supposed to come out in November. Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Is it going to be
but
his cousin?
I don't know. I would love for it to be Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Did he die?
Yeah.
He died. Yeah. Well, I mean, anything's possible, but his sister
Yeah.
could do it. I don't know I don't know the direction.
I was about to say, it would make sense to do his sister because
Yeah.
it seems like the next phase of Marvel, minus a couple of people that are coming back, like Benedict Cumberbatch, they're going more female.
They were talking about her actually being Ironheart though, because she's in the technology and everything, so she could be the new Iron Man. But again, I have no clue what they're doing.
Well, they're doing a lot more female. Like even Hawkeye is probably going to be replaced by the girl from
Hawkeye.
from the series. Then you'll have Captain Marvel. You'll have the female Black Panther, unless it goes with Iron Man, which would
Florence
make
Pugh.
sense. Florence Pugh taking over for the Black Widow role. So you're gonna have a more female led Marvel universe moving forward. Even Thor
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder is gonna have a female Thor for part of that.
Natalie Portman.
So
Yeah, I loved I loved Infinity War and Endgame. The new Spider-Mans are probably perfect, especially the last one.
Yeah, that was a
with
good one.
everybody
I
in
ain't
it.
gonna lie.
But Endgame probably gets a little edge for that, just because that one scene where everybody comes back, and like that's something I'm never going to forget ever.
And talking about Spider-Man, my daughter, I got her to watch all of them now. We found them streaming, and like I said, if we were going to have a Marvel episode again, I would just let her replace me because she could run circles around all three of us talking about Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Did she enjoy Tobey Maguire? Because his Spider-Man 2 is probably one of my top Spider-Man movies.
She liked Tobey Maguire. And this is an unbiased opinion from a 12-year-old girl because she cut her teeth on Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was her first. There's a soft spot probably for Jay and me and you for Tobey Maguire because he was our first Spider-Man.
Took our Spider Cherry.
Yeah, he was the first live action Spider-Man that felt like Spider-Man.
Thank God it wasn't killing.
You were so many kids' first Spider-Man.
Oh,
Spider-Peen.
And your
Spider-Peen.
sidekick.
Look
Little
at my
sidekick Spider
Spider-Peen,
Brick.
kids. Off the rails again. So yeah.
So her first introduction was Tom Holland, and after watching the first three Spider-Man movies, both Amazing Spider-Man, and seeing her first Marvel movie in theaters, I think was No Way Home. Like I took her to see that. That was the first like opening night Marvel movie. I took her on the Friday that it came out to go see it. She loved it. The cheering, like I explained stuff to her after the fact because she hadn't seen the other ones. Mm-hmm. But after watching all 8 Spider-Man films, her favorite was Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield's fantastic.
She said, because she said it to me, like I didn't even ask the question. She was like, okay, now that I've seen all of them, I think Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man.
That's the third
She's
one.
like,
The new guy.
He was the second one.
Okay,
Andrew
second
Garfield, he was the one with Emma Stone.
Okay, yeah.
Gwen Stacy.
And I think that people who saw those movies, you're kind of like, man, because like us, we're like, it's Toby. But I love Andrew Garfield and everything he does. But
I
when
think
he
she just
came
liked
back in
his
No Way
character.
Home, he won everybody over.
Yeah.
Especially in the end where he saved Zendaya. Like that won everybody over. It didn't make me cry. It didn't. Stop asking me. It didn't make me cry. But yeah, he's fantastic.
With the last Spider-Man, when they brought them all together, that got me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, with the multiverse thing, what I was talking about, they have that ability to pull those characters in and out. And I can't imagine what Tobey Maguire got. He get what, maybe 30 minutes of that entire movie?
Maybe. There's a video of him. You know, he hates paparazzi.
Yeah.
There's a video of him where a paparazzi's trying to take pictures and he gets hit by a car and he just starts laughing.
So if you haven't, I've watched all of the Spider-Man recently because watching them with my daughter. I didn't realize there was 2 callbacks from Tobey Maguire in the new Spider-Man movie to things that happened in the other, his cinematic universe.
Yeah.
So the part where he's complaining about his back,
Where he falls off. He loses his powers and falls off.
and right on his back, and he's, my back. And when he gets stabbed by Green Goblin.
Yeah.
The glider.
And he said in No Way Home, he's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been stabbed before."
Yeah.
I was like, watching them again, I was like, those are neat callbacks that they called back to the previous film.
That's the reason why I like all the
Marvel's
Marvel.
just so
They
good
they
at
know what
fan
they're
service
doing,
with
dude.
their
Yeah,
heroes.
and the writing on that too, like one of my favorite parts of that movie too is when the multiverse is cracking and you can see silhouettes of people and you can see Scorpion, Rhino, Kraven, Black Cat. Is that her name, Black Cat? That's her name.
Yeah.
You can see those silhouettes. I'm like, yes, like that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Andrew Garfield said he's open to coming back. So I think they're going to make more movies with him. And we're still going to get a Spider-Man in Morbius. So we don't know what Spider-Man that's going to be yet.
Yeah.
But they said there is a Spider-Man in Morbius.
Well, and after this movie, there was a huge push for Andrew Garfield to get his third. And if you didn't know, Shailene Woodley was supposed to play Mary Jane.
And if
in
she
the
did,
third
I
one.
would not approve.
You don't like Shailene Woodley?
I
Is it
do
because
not.
she's earthy?
It's because
Is it the
Secret
Aaron
Life
Rodgers?
of American Teenager.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
The girl I was with at the time loved that show, and there's a scene where someone gets in a plane crash, and the girl's like, "Oh my God, oral sex killed my dad." So this girl had oral sex. The plane with her dad crashed, and that's why she was awful in that show. She put up with Aaron Rodgers, so she must be nice to some degree. But just not a fan of her. They can do better in that casting. But we could go on for days on this.
Really
but follow us on all those places we said earlier. Go watch a nerdy movie. If you have a favorite movie, we'll be doing some posts. We're gonna find that picture of Spider-Man penis from CC's. I actually have a picture with Spider-Man from Walmart, so we'll post that. I'm Jay.
I'm Kellen.
And I'm producer Rodney.
And until next time,
Keep it
Weird. Weirder than last time.
Spider penis does whatever spider penis does.